Alright, hello everyone. Obviously, title of the video is obvious. Trump won again. Alright, so now we have to ask ourselves questions on what's going to happen. And obviously, if the vice president had won, I would have obviously said vice president wins. Now what? Same title of the video. We have to ask questions. We have to be reasonable here because we can't be jeering for joy and be like, okay, he has to be happy that Donald Trump won again, right? Well, I have to explain what's going to happen now that President Trump is going to get another 4 more years. Now, to give you all a refresher, this is a non-consecutive term, right? We've had one president who has done this before, and that was way back in the 1890s with Grover Cleveland. So it has happened. There is no question that we've only had, I think in our history as a country, we've only had, I think, 3 presidential rematches in our history. That being back in the late 20th century. And that was Benjamin Harrison and Grover Cleveland. Then we had William Jennings Bryan take on William McKinley. And the only other time that it's happened, that was between Dwight D. Eisenhower and Adlai Stevenson. We've had vice presidents try to run before. That being the only successful person to do it was George H.W. Bush when he did 2 terms under Ronald Reagan. But sadly, our history has shown us that you can try to fill in for the shoes of the vice president, and that's in the Democrat side. You're not going to succeed. And unfortunately for Vice President Harris, that did not happen. And so now, just like 1968, when Hubert Humphrey lost to Richard Nixon, and they called it one of the greatest political comebacks, Donald Trump did the same thing this time around. And now we look at a situation where we now go into what's going to happen. My 401k looked good today once the stock market closed at 4 o'clock. My crypto is at an all-time high. And I'll mention for anybody who has Bitcoin, Bitcoin could hit $100,000 by the time we hit Inauguration Day on January 20th. So, what's going to happen is people just assume there'll be a market crash. And honestly, I don't know if it will happen. And I'll go into one of the main reasons why we could see a market crash in the next 4 years. Now, is it going to be a global pandemic again? Only time will tell. Hopefully, we pray not that there will be another global pandemic like COVID-19. But when we talk about what can happen economically for our country, what will happen is, now that President Trump has won a second term, you saw it today in the stock market. The Dow Jones hit an all-time high. Could the Dow Jones hit 50,000 points? by Inauguration Day. It could well happen at some point. The tech industry, I think, is going to boom. AI is going to find a way to be more persistent in our lives, unfortunately, even with Trump in the White House. Unfortunately, now, Trump keeps saying that he's going to advance AI. And Kamala said she was going to look to regulate it, but I don't know. That was a very iffy thing. And so now you're going to see Trump embrace AI. You're going to see him embrace technology. Um, Even the Fortune 500 companies have admitted that they wanted Trump to win because they figured that he was going to be tax friendly and, you know, try to bring back traditional Republican economic platform. Right now, you're going to see not only the stock market and crypto take off, but what's going to happen is you're going to see the next couple of weeks with the holiday shopping season coming up, you're going to see these retailers drastically cut prices on, you know, let's say electronics, clothing, you know, maybe appliances. It's possible. You know, they're going to talk about, you know, gasoline prices going down now that possibly in January or even February, President Trump's going to restart the Keystone Oil pipeline. Obviously, now Wall Street is banking big on the oil industry trying to come back. They know that Biden was trying to regulate it, and Kamala was trying to push us more to electric cars, which that's not good if you're a fan of AM radio. Just gonna put that out there. But you have to think that what will happen is you're gonna see retail booming. You're gonna see, even on my birthday, Best Buy was saying they were even planning a special Black Friday thing on November 8th because they know the holiday shopping season shorter than usual and people want to take advantage of it. Then you got Kohl's, for an example. They're going to lower prices beginning the week of November 25th. They're already planning a big sale. They want people to come into the store and shop. Makes sense. And then the obvious. Food prices will start to go down. You'll start to notice in the short run, maybe the food prices will look a lot better than they already are. But now comes the part about tariffing China. You know, Donald Trump has been talking about it even before 2016. He was even saying we should tariff China. They're manipulating us, this and that economically. It's what will happen is, and there are a lot of economic experts that have feared the worst if Trump were to tariff China. The one theory about China being tariffed could necessarily make the stock market go down. And it's a very scary thought to think that that could put us into another recession maybe. We don't know if that will be the case, but maybe Donald Trump is a little bitter that, you know, China lied to us about how they were handling the COVID-19. Maybe this is the retribution that he wants. because he wants revenge against his enemies or something like that. I don't know. I mean, people make up these conspiracies online. It's, you know, it could happen or it may not happen. I don't have a crystal ball saying that Donald Trump tariffing China is going to cause the stock market to crash. I can only predict what will happen. Probably from now, if you want to be fair, about 6 months, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. To be fair, I can only go as far as February or March. 5, 6 months out from now. So, honestly, the way the short run is more favorable for the economy. But in the long run, again, if you tariff China, are you really going to risk collapsing the stock market? Mr. Beat goes here on YouTube all the time. You can't prevent a recession. Something will happen that will cause the United States economy to go into a recession. There's always factors that bring it, this and that. But right now, again, it looks like the economy is going to boom the way it did back in 2017. It's all the factors now do point to it. All those signs are there at the moment. So we'll see what happens. Now, as far as everybody's favorite subject happens to be illegal immigration, honestly, right now, it's a very iffy situation. Could we see the largest deportation effort since 1958 with Dwight D. Eisenhower? I don't know how the plan is going to get executed. It's very, very difficult to get ICE and Homeland Security to even execute such a plan like that. It's, I get it. And first things first, if they really want to start executing a plan like that, you start small. You start at the bottom, and it goes to all these migrant centers, like the Roosevelt Hotel, for an example. You have to get them out of the Roosevelt. You start small. You don't just, come down with battering rams. This is ICE, open up. This is Homeland Security, open up. Like, Donald Trump is really going to go extreme into that. It's a plan that's just, how is he going to do it? What is he going to do? Get Ted Cruz involved? I don't know how such a plan can even be executed unless you start small. And, could Donald Trump revive the Roosevelt Hotel? Hey, he has the money. The federal government could take over, right? You never know. It could be a Trump property. Wishful thinking, but like he did with the Commodore. But it's a very iffy situation. There's rumors going around that children are not going to be granted automatic status as citizens. Yeah, remember that same conversation happened in 2016? Same conversation. And guess what? It never went through. It didn't go through. So then you have to worry about Israel. Right now with Israel, could the Israeli hostages be freed on January 20th? Only time will tell. But I'm going to say this right now. I'll make one final point. Kamala Harris pondered to the radical left. And to an extent, Donald Trump has pondered to the radical right. Let's be fair here. Radicalizing our politics really doesn't accomplish anything. And so maybe down the line, you'll see a candidate like Ben Shapiro in Pennsylvania run to become president. And if you add a Southern Democrat like Andy Beshear to a presidential ticket, it definitely would help out in the swing states. Because two socialist candidates running together created a recipe for disaster. Let's call it for what it is. Unfortunately, that's what happened. And the way it works is you got to have a middle of the line ticket if you're the Democrats. You cannot put Gavin Newsom in as your nominee. You put Gavin Newsom in there, and you have a J.D. Vance, or you have a Ron DeSantis, or you have a Vivek Ramaswamy in there, guess what? You're going to lose. You're not winning Ohio. If the Democrats are really trying their best to make sure that they get this one right, because they need to, if they really are desperate here and they don't want to lose again, you put in Josh Shapiro and you put in Andy Beshear. It's a simple ticket. Southern Democrat joining a Rust Belt Democrat. Can't anybody agree with me on that? I mean, I have a lot of people who are Democrats who watch my channel, and I hope they agree with me. I hope that they see it from that point of view, that they're going to have to focus on... I've reached out to a couple Democrats in Nassau County today, and they like the idea of a Josh Shapiro, Andy Beshear ticket. They're for that idea because they're realistic that they want to get back the Rust Belt. They know that if they're going to do that with two popular Democrat governors, it makes sense. It absolutely would make sense to do that ticket. It balances it out. You have, again, Southern Democrat joining Rust Belt Democrat. Only makes sense. You know, two different backgrounds. Makes a unique ticket. People will go out and vote. Especially depending on what Donald Trump will do the next 4 years. And I'm assuming J.D. Vance will probably run. I'm assuming Ron DeSantis will give another crack at it. So... And, you know, Vivek, to an extent, too, he might try another crack at it, but the Democrats have to start focusing now on reclaiming their identity. And if they don't, they are going to lose future elections. It's plain simple. And you cannot win the Rust Belt. You don't have a future back in the White House. It's simple. I hate to be the obvious bearer of bad news, but Gavin Newsom needs to stay out of it. So Gavin, once your time is done in California, go retire, leave the country alone, and it's the same goes for you, Kathy Hochul, because you're a radical too. You stay out of running for president. Let the centrist Democrats come back. So, again, the way I look at it, let's watch the timeline play out for Josh Shapiro and Andy Beshear. Because I know how this works. If the Democrats could lose in 1896 from a non-consecutive term president, then certainly history is on the course of repeating itself again in 2028. And if I'm wrong, today and you play this video 4 years from now, then so be it. But for now, that's what's going to happen in the short run. And I'll make one more point before I wrap this up. Transportation. We know congestion pricing is likely not going to happen now that Donald Trump is president. He has executive power. He can get the DOT, the federal DOT, to stop it. But mass transit funding, oh my goodness. You know, I'm very worried that he may cut funding for MTA projects. You know, the MTA's got to think outside of the box. The federal government may need to come in and save the day. And Donald Trump may tell General Lieber, drop dead, like Gerard Ford did to New York in the 70s. So, and by the way, you hear the garbage truck in the background. I can't believe they took till 6 o'clock tonight to pick up my trash. This is Eric Adams' City of Yes, right? And by the way, Eric Adams actually congratulated Donald Trump today. We'll figure that out. You should have saw my street today, folks. I'll just wrap it up with this. My street looked like a big dump yard. So I'm glad the trash is being picked up. So I think that's it. I'm done talking. We all have to come together as Americans. And right now, we need to ride this Trump presidency out. See how it goes. And then again, I think you'll start to see the timeline for Josh Shapiro's presidency start. I know I'm coming up with a theory, but I hope I kind of am right. But if I'm kind of am wrong, then all right, we'll see how it goes. So that's it.